Well, hello, Phyllis. You may be, I'm going to unmute you. You may be the only participant this evening. I don't know. No one else is here yet, so we'll see.
You weren't putting the advertising out there. I had a dig to figure out the Zoom room.
I've been putting it out.
Okay.
Like a fire.
Like a fire, yes. Anyway, so we are talking about educational theater this evening, and I have three wonderful guests and a wonderful participant. So hi, Phyllis. I'm not normally, what I normally do is keep people muted through this thing, but there's no reason tonight. So I think you know, well, and Phyllis, I know you know Kaisa.
Hi, Kaisa.
Hey, Phyllis, good to see you, honey.
Same here.
Do you know Marty?
I don't believe I know Marty or Mr. Hogan.
Okay.
Do I, well, Marty? Did I misspeak? I'm sorry.
No, I think we are just meeting for the first time.
Okay, this is wonderful. And we have someone else here too. Hi, Harriet.
Hey, Harriet.
How are you? You're muted, Harriet, so unmute yourself. Might as well. Anyway, so my three guests this evening are Marty Ram, who is, well, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Marty, but I know you are working over at Golden West College, right?
Right. So I'm Marty Ram, and luckily I'm the chair of performing arts at Golden West College. So that's theater arts, music and dance, but I'm a professor of theater arts and performer, director, choreographer, not so much performer anymore, a lot of director, choreographer, but a full-time tenured professor at Golden West College.
And how long have you been there?
Since 2006, full-time. They called me and I directed a couple shows for them in 2003 and 2005, and then this position came up and here I am. And I'm very grateful for the position, believe me, because believe me, to be a tenured professor, I'm still working and I'm still getting a paycheck and I'm very happy. I'm not happy because I can't do what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm doing other stuff, so no complaints.
Wonderful. And I will move over to my lovely wife, Kaisa, who was a teacher for 41 years in pretty much every grade imaginable up to college, right? You may introduce yourself more.
You can keep going. I'm loving it.
She's retired now for 6 years. She's been retired.
And boy, am I glad about that. You know what? I put in my time and I got out in the nick of time.
But like Marty,
I don't envy any of you, and I certainly just hope it all works out well for you, and maybe we'll get back to normal. Anyway.
Like Marty, she's taught pretty much all of the performing arts, including the last year of her teaching stint, teaching a guitar class, which is kind of interesting. And then Mr. Joe Hogan, who was my producing partner for 5 years in Flea Bitten Productions, and a very good friend. And then he decided he wanted to be a high school drama teacher. And has been working at iPoly, which is a small campus on the Cal Poly Pomona grounds, basically. And he got you were an English teacher who kind of
I forced a drama program. I forced
a drama program down their throats.
Like we were going to be doing drama. No, really, we're going to do drama now. It's going to happen.
And then, very interestingly, is now a full-time drama teacher at a new high school starting this school year, of all things, teaching full-time drama. do it again because I'll never get the name right. You barely can
Desert
get it right.
Hot
What
Springs
school are
High
you teaching?
School. Desert Hot Springs High School in Desert Hot Springs.
Great. And,
Say that
and
3
when do you
times.
technically start? Or
I
have you?
tomorrow will be the start of my second full week and my 9th day with students.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. And all virtual, right?
all virtual.
So that's an interesting one.
It
Okay.
is.
So welcome, the latecomers. You're tardy to class. I just want to say that.
Who are they?
Really quickly, I'm going to all of you, because we do have quite a few people here now. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. So I'm going to start with, well, since Phyllis was one of the first ones in here, let's unmute her. Introduce yourself, Phyllis.
Okay, I am Phyllis Knopfs. What do you want me to say, Greg?
Oh, you know, your connection to theater.
Well, unfortunately, I've never had the privilege to be directed by you, but I have had the honor to work with you as your stage manager. I've been involved in theater since high school, took a short 30-year reprieve when I was raising my child, and then I've been at it full time until this last year. I'm very grateful. Unfortunately, I don't work or get paid to do theater, but I'm very grateful. I've been working from home very successfully since March 15th. I still have the same tank of gas in my car since March 15th.
Isn't that amazing?
Literally.
Yes.
And but I miss performing, and it was nice to be home for a while because I had been doing back-to-backs for a while, and my wife hadn't seen me much. She's done with me now. She's ready for me to go back out. So yeah, but yeah, I love theater. I'm not a Shakespearean fan, so I don't have a tendency to audition for those shows, but love theater. Got to do my primary role recently as Helga Tendorp in Death Trap at Whittier, and then just finished Grandma Kernitz at Lost in Yonkers. Just finished last year, I guess, with
Just finished.
with Costa Mesa. So I've been very fortunate. I've worked with some incredibly talented people, of which yourself included, as well as Harriet. I haven't worked with anybody else. Not that you're not talented.
and what a segue. Harriet, why don't you introduce?
Does she have a picture?
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
there
on.
she
I'm
is.
on, Kaita. Oh, you just
Hey.
flip it. Hi, I'm Harriet Whitmire. I have had the wonderful opportunity of working with Greg, actually in Death Trap, playing the parts that Phyllis just talked about. But I've been involved, like Phyllis, involved with theater since high school, and you know, just kept going and enjoy it a lot. I just recently retired as a board member at Newport Theater Arts Center, and but I'm very active at Long Beach as well, Long Beach Playhouse, and I don't know, I tuned in because my husband actually taught in academic theater for, I don't know, 35, 40 years. And he's over it, but I'm not. So I'm real interested in finding out like what, you know, what's, you know, happening. So hi, everybody. And I'm glad to be here. And I just got back from Morro Bay, which was a wonderful change of scenery. We're very fortunate. We have a motorhome, and we figured we can, that's our home. We can social distance there. So we were able to do that. And it was great to have the change of scenery, but always glad
All
to be
your
home.
pictures. They were beautiful.
Yeah, I posted a lot of pictures.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good to have you with us. Eric.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi there.
Eric
Hello,
has
my
been
name's-
the most consistent attendee.
Does he get an
at the
award for that?
Roundtables.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
he
say, I
should.
hope there's a ribbon or a medallion or something.
There
coming
will be
his way.
eventually.
Just some
Okay.
kind of an award.
So I've done theater for a long time. I actually started when I was in high school and college. I did a lot of shows at Golden West College for years and years, and then I went to law school and got a job and had a family, and sort of fell out of the theater loop for 25 years and came back about 3 years ago. Been doing a bunch of shows since then. Worked with Greg on Noises Off and supposed to be doing the producers with Greg until Mr. COVID got in the way. So COVID and I are not on speaking terms at the moment. But yeah, so I love theater, and I've been listening to Greg's roundtables because if you can't do theater, at least you can have a taste of theater. So I appreciate Greg's been doing this.
All right, cool. Mr. Johnson, unmute yourself and pick the right camera. Are you there, Kent? Kent?
It's like talking to one of my students.
Kent fell asleep. There you go. I can hear you. Still can't see you, but that's okay because I've seen you before.
Story of my life.
So, just a quick introduction, Mr. Johnson. He's gone. Okay.
I love Harriet's garden.
I
Sorry.
love this.
This is
Okay.
our dinner time, and so I have to start the barbecue, but I want to be on here.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Michael,
Margarita.
introduce yourself for those of us that weren't here last week.
Michael Piscatelli. I met Greg and Kaisa eons ago, back when we were discovering fire. And
He's really our illegitimate son.
That's exactly right. I'm still looking for payment for that, though.
We tried to get rid of it in a basket, but it just didn't work.
No, just keep coming back. So I've been doing theater for a while, acting, all of that stuff, switched over to producing, jumped into television, and now I just love these things because I love Greg and Kaisa, everybody who talks and gives information.
Thank you.
Informative,
Thank
so
you very
that's
much.
who I am.
And Mr. Shane.
Hi. I also took, it sounds like a lot of people took breaks. I took a 35-year break from doing theater, and I'm very happy to be back. I owe it all to Greg and Kaisa because they're the ones that cast me when I came back. What else? I'm on the board at Long Beach Playhouse, just joined, and I love that. Uh-oh, somebody else is here. That's about it for now. Let's get to the crux of the matter.
We will, as soon as I have Nick introduce himself. My God, it's even bigger. Mr. Charles, can you just do a quick introduction?
Oh my
of yourself?
God, that beard, Nick.
What beard? What beard?
You're muted, Nick.
Also,
There you
picture.
go.
There. Hello. We're in Montana right now. We're in
Holy
West
Moses.
Yellowstone,
Well,
and I'm on my
nice.
phone. Yeah.
Hi,
Somebody else is
Montana.
waving too.
So
Well, cool.
hello from Montana. Hello from Yellowstone.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to be there in October, so that's
Well, there'll be snow up here by then.
Good.
Lucky.
Oh, lovely. All right, so I'm going to mute everybody and unmute my two wonderful guests, my three wonderful guests. Where are you? There you go. So you got a little thing that says unmute for the three of you. Kaisa, you should have that somewhere. You should have a little unmute thing.
There it
you go.
is.
Okay. So we're talking educational. That's always been a super important thing for me because I started in theater in elementary school, and it was my saving grace. So let me just ask, the three of you deal or have dealt with varying age ranges of students. Do you think the importance of theater changes depending on the age of the student? Let's start right there. And if so, what are the elements that are so important to get across to different age ranges? I'm Marty, because
Okay,
it's
so
the first time you've been here.
I because I teach college age, what we get mainly is those who have chosen to do theater now, because they have to choose to be involved. They have to choose classes. They have to choose to audition. And for many of them, it gives them a freedom that they need as part of their process of maturing to be in college. So many of them find themselves as they start working at the college level, because in high schools they were doing different programs and stuff, and they suddenly find out that they are in charge of their own schedule. They are how far they wish to go and how they wish to concentrate. It's really up to them. So it's part of a real maturing process we see at the college level. We sometimes have children, and we sometimes have people from APA or OSHA come and audition for us, and I cast them. I never ask anybody's age. They can do the job. I never worry about it. So I really see what we provide college level is a way for them to take the journey on their own instead of somebody, forcing them. And it really, they learn a lot quickly at the college level because they kind of have to.
Here's a question, Marty. Of all the students you see, how many of them are taking it to experience something new, and how many of them are just really interested in being actors or involved in the theater?
I would say 50-50. We have technical theater students who really want to do that. We have some actors and singers and dancers who really are focused on that. The other half, sorry, I just hit my microphone. The other half are taking it because taking acting 1 is a recognizable humanities credit they can take, and they suddenly find they like it. Or they take one of our intro to theater classes or film classes or whatever, and suddenly they like the atmosphere in the department. So I would say it's about 50-50. At Golden West, we have usually about 100 majors every semester. Right now, I couldn't tell you we have 10, but we normally have about 100, and those are folks who have chosen to be theater majors and chosen to concentrate on either technical theater or acting.
I'm going to skip Kaisa for a minute and go with the
please.
relative newbie here. So you went from starting a program where there never was a program, and now I assume you're taking over a program? Is that
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you started it, how great was the interest? How hard did you have to work, and what was the main level trying to impart?
I didn't hear the last part of the question. Cut out.
What was the main lesson you were trying to impart with these new kids?
Well, for me, theater was always like a found family for me when I was in high school, and I think I feel like I need to pay that forward and create that space for other people. And so that's kind of why I did it. I got into theater because I wanted to be able to share that experience with other people. And so when I started at iPoly, they had a teacher who was doing drama, but he wasn't doing anything with it. It was just kind of a fun little class that he would teach. And so I took it from him. And we started with like 8 kids who were interested in doing improv at lunch. And I think within a year of that, we turned my 20 by 40 foot. Did you ever see my little homemade theater? Did you ever get to come and see it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, a 20 by 40 foot portable classroom. And we just took all the desks out, and we'd find a parent that had like a rental company to bring in a bunch of chairs. And we bisected the space. And I had a junior, one of my juniors was very mechanically inclined. So he made my first lighting board out of wall dimmers. So when you talk about how hard did I have to work, we had to build everything from scratch. I remember being there at 1 o'clock in the morning with 2 of my students, which nowadays would never fly. But back then, parents knew they were there, came back by and dropped us off food. And, it's like, sorry, we've got to hang these lights before tomorrow, and, building everything from scratch. So. And then when I left the program this year, they had about 120 kids in the program, and that's over 12 years. And then the school only has about 500 kids in it. So.
Wow.
Excellent, excellent.
That's really impressive, Joe. I didn't know that it had gotten that big.
Yeah.
Did you have a hand in finding your replacement?
No, there's no replacement. I knew when I left, and they haven't, I don't think it's fully set in yet at the school because my juniors and seniors were so good that they're basically running the program now. And once they graduate out, I think it will go away.
Oh my.
That's sad.
And it's heartbreaking. And I love that school more than anything. This last year, 2 weeks before we shut down, there are a lot of schools that did not get to do their spring musicals. We were lucky. We did Les Mis, and after years of being told that they were going to make my position a full-time drama position, I did Les Mis, and I'm like, ta-da! And they're like, we still can't give it to you. And I'm like, all right, then I need a letter of recommendation. Because one of the things that you have to do if you're going to be a drama teacher is you have to know your worth. And that's not an ego thing. That's just kind of, because we tend to, as drama teachers, we tend to undersell ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so after so many years of building up this program and driving 2 hours one way to get to work, I finally said, you know what, I need to find something else. And just out of nowhere this summer, a place opened up 20 minutes from where I live. So
that's super.
I had to take advantage. Like a friend of mine, when I made the announcement, said that must have been one of the greatest and most heart-wrenching decisions you've ever made. And it's true.
Wow.
I'll just add on to that.
Yeah, please do.
So I've taught like 40 years. Where I went, I had some kind of a drama department. I either had a junior high, and we just kind of made kind of similar to Joe. Only had a few more things already in place at the facility, so we didn't have to work quite so hard. But everywhere I went, we would build a program up, and then when I was then hired at a high school, that drama department was gone. And then I went to the high school, and it was a new school, well, actually an old school, and I kind of worked there for a while. And my office was like a little closet right off to the stage left theater. It was like, and I was there for 10 years, and we built that program up, and it was successful. We had acting classes and stuff. The minute I left, it's gone. Then I went to another high school and finished my career, spent 9 years there. And when it opened, it was at Segerstrom High School, and it didn't have any curtains. It had no floor. It had no lighting. It had nothing. So we built that thing up. And so I left. There was a full complement of scenery, which is like walls, step units, all kinds of great stuff for just a basic, any interior set you want. We had a whole new grid of lights. We had everything put up and set up and wired to work for that place. I had my room was a black box, and the kids and I painted it was white, painted it black and made it a black box. We lit it up. We did all the things so we could do shows in the black box, shows on a main stage. Everything was set to go. So I thought, well, okay, when I'm ready to return, I needed to go. What they've done now is, so they hired somebody. I went back to the school for one day. They took my black box, painted it white, made it a classroom. It's not a black box anymore. They ripped all the lights out and whatever curtain there was there, they took it out, and now it's a classroom. And they have one drama class. That's it. And that's what's happened almost every time I've left, because like Joe, like Marty, you build these things up and you build these things up and you just keep working on it, and people support you and you get it done, and the kids want to do it. But then you do so much more than most people do, theater people do. I mean, you do so much more than the average classroom teacher does, because you're not only teaching and educating them about theater, but then you're also making a product that is seen by the public. And then you have to be not only a teacher of educator of theater, but then you have to be a marketer and a costumer and a technical person, and you have to be everybody.
You're basically running your own theater company.
Yes.
Pretty much. But
Yeah.
then when you leave, look at the positions that could be a single person, a single full-time position. You've been that person along with the other 5 things you've been, and they can't replace you. Mm-hmm. So what happens is they either don't want to spend the money on you, or they don't care who they hire because they don't know anything about theater. And so basically what I had started after those 9 or 10 years is now gone at Segerstrom. They sold all of the scenery that I had built, got rid of it, cleared it up, and used it for storage for books.
So is it, I mean, both Kais and I were walk-on coaches at Fountain Valley High School many years ago, and dealt with a very similar situation. They did not have a drama department. They had a bunch of kids that were interested, and because they weren't going to hire a teacher for it, they hired us to come on and direct a couple of shows. More and more what I'm hearing, obviously it's different in college, Marty, because drama is a viable subject that is sort of universally taught in colleges. I mean, I don't know of a college that doesn't teach drama unless it's,
Right.
a medical school. But from things you've heard as a college professor, from kids coming into that situation from high schools, to me, it's sounding like there is really no support for the arts, or very, very little support from the arts beyond that of dedicated teachers.
Well, I was going to say that it is always a student who will say they've had a wonderful experience in high school. This teacher, that teacher, I hear names over and over again. I went to such and such school and this teacher, and great. And they want that feeling. And you said something, Joe, about found family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're looking for their family at Golden West. And I always tell them 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, you'll all be family. And they usually are, but, and so that's really important. The other thing is, yes, the teachers who pipeline their students into colleges, whether it's UCLA or Irvine or Chapman or us or Cal State
Orange
Fullerton,
Coast.
yeah, exactly. They, those teachers are few. Not every school has one, and more what I'm seeing is the English teacher who directs something. They're not theater people. It's an English teacher, with all due respect to any English teachers here, who says, "Oh yeah, I can do Shakespeare." Well, you know what? You can't. And so we get a lot of those students who had a good experience, but then they come to us and they kind of go, "Oh, it's very different." But those high school teachers, we at Golden West, we welcome any high school drama teacher who wants to bring their students to see our shows for free. Up to 20 students, I will comp them in. Been doing that for years. And we get students who want to come to us at that point as well. But for many of them, they go, oh, and they see the next step. They see what can happen. But the high school teachers, so many of them are getting such no support. Your things. I mean, at the college, yes, I'm teaching a viable major that's got degrees. But we have to
And
make
a life plan, yeah.
Yeah, we have to
And
make
a life plan.
our own money to support our, the college doesn't give us, here's your $100,000 put on a season. They don't do that. And so ticket sales support the next year, and grants from the student body support the next year if we get them. And sometimes lottery funds support the next year. And so I'm always working, 18 months in advance as we're producing. And I'm fearful now that when the doors open, we're going to be back starting where we were a dozen years ago, because our audiences will be fearful to come. And I told all the powers that be above me, I said, by the way, we're going to be in the red for about, 5 years easily. And don't look for anything in the black. It's not going to happen. Yes, but the high school teachers are really very important. And so many of them created a family, as Joe said, for those students. So they come to us looking for the same thing.
Got a couple questions here, but before I ask them, I did get a note here from Veronica that I need to pass on. It says, "Can you let Kaisa know that she is awesome? Thanks." So I just, that's from Veronica.
Oh, thanks. I just want to say something that Marty had to say too, is that in high school theater, it just seemed like the powers that be never did. They would come and visit my classes when we used to have WASP visitations. And they would leave in the first 5 minutes because they really never knew what I was doing, understood it. They want to participate or do anything like that.
Mhm.
And so when it came time for money, we never got any money. When I went to the new school, there was no even basic setup at the theater. There was nothing. It was a bare open wall, an open hole. We never got any money for that stuff. My classes earned money to pay for all that and just set it up. And then every year we were always in the red because frankly, we would spend all the money we could because it was not that much. Quality program. You know, we didn't build cardboard scenery. We used real wood, and we used all the real that we hope that we, and we know when they get to you, Marty, they get to college, they get to experience it. They go, oh, I remember when we used to build scenery, and I remember when we did this tech class, and that kind of gives them some reference points so that you don't have to stand there and explain what everything does and what it is.
We ran a full black market. Like we broke. I can say it now because I don't work there anymore. We broke every health code as far as food went because I had an entire closet behind my desk, and a student assigned every lunch, or not even every break, to go in there, and we'd have a line out the door of people buying chocolate and chips and all the stuff you want, because that's the only way I could fund it. And it's funny because I had one kid was like, what do you mean you don't have Snickers? And the girl working the register was like, this is a black market. You don't go up to somebody in black market and say, what do you mean you don't have a rifle? They'll shoot you.
I was going to say, the one thing we do need high school teachers to teach their students, and Nick's going to laugh about this, they do not know how to sweep a stage.
Yeah. Except for some stage managers maybe, but
nobody knows how to sweep the stage. And the first thing we have to show them in stagecraft or one of my stage managers, I'll say, okay, everybody, and they cannot sweep a stage. Other than that, most of the high school kids come really enthusiastic and have some skills. Nobody knows how to sweep.
I will tell you, if you need anyone to train people to sweep a stage, call Phyllis Knopf. She is an excellent
Okay, Phyllis. Yes.
He's the queen of sweeping.
For me to, hold back on compliments. Anyway, okay. So let's talk about the pandemic. Okay. Obviously, those of us who work in community theaters or any theater at this point are just taking a break from it because there's no way to put on a production. But those of you who are teaching people theater don't have that option. So a couple of people have asked, what does educational theater look like now in a virtual world? And how do you keep the kids engaged and keep the program active?
I'll jump in, Joe, if you don't mind. Because we had about 2 weeks in spring to go from face-to-face classes to online classes, and because I've been teaching online for over a dozen years, I could make the transition. And so lecture classes were no problem. The acting class, I had to cancel some classes. I can't teach stage movement and stage combat online. So that had to be canceled. They cannot sword fight by themselves. Anyway, but acting was the challenge because I couldn't go live Zoom with them. I am starting in a week. We will be live Zooming and I'll do teaching acting that way. But so we came up with they had 4 different ways to get their monologues or scenes to me, which they did, and I gave feedback. And so we just made it work. We lost about a third of the students in all our acting classes because some students cannot cope doing it online. They cannot. They either need the support of the other actors, they need the support of other students, or they have other challenges. So we lost a few, but the ones who stayed did really good work. We were very proud of their work. But we have to stop a lot of our stuff. So technical theater classes gone.
Mm-hmm.
You can't teach scenic painting. You can't teach stagecraft if you got nothing to build. And so we're really dealing now with lecture classes that can be fully online. That's not a problem. And acting classes as what we call live remote, meaning I will see them. So they have an appointment, a regular class time, all of them with me, similar to this. And it'll be the first time I've done it, starting in a week. But I think I got it. But
real quickly, obviously, I see the ability to do monologues this way. How do you deal with a scene, with a multi-person scene?
I'm gonna two-person scenes, and as I'm only gonna do one of those. The rest will be monologues. But we'll start with that. Actually, that's the first thing we're gonna do. I can assign them private chats to each other, and they can work on their own. And there's certain restrictions I've given them in terms of where the camera needs to be. And I don't know. I'm gonna see how it works. I think
they will be in the same room. No, so each of them will be in their little box doing this thing.
But
okay.
But they can't just show it.
My question.
My thing is that I want to see your full body. I need to see everything, and we're gonna try it. I think the worst thing that can happen is it's not successful, because then I don't have to worry about it. We've got monologues after that. But I have to do something for them. Our classes are much smaller than usual, because some students just cannot cope with the mechanism. And we are also not in production. I can't, I had to cancel Spam-A-Lot. We were just 2 days into rehearsing Spam-A-Lot, and that went away. And then obviously fall has gone away. I still have the rights to our musical in the spring. Haven't canceled them yet. Keeping fingers crossed. I sincerely think we will not be on stage in the spring, but hopefully. But I have shows lined up for the next 3 years. I just waiting for permission to do it, and that's really hard, because a lot of students say, "Well, why am I going to put in any effort if we're not going to get to perform?"
Right. Joe, how are you dealing with it?
Well, like I said, we were lucky. Our production of Les Mis went up 2 weeks before everything shut down, and the number of schools. The school I'm at right now, apparently, that was a week away from doing Footloose, and they couldn't do it. The set is still on. I mean, I got a tour. I've been on my campus just once, and I got a tour of the campus, and I got a tour of the theater, and everything was just thrown into closets. So one of the things I'm going to have to do next month, because we're allowed to be either fully at home, fully on campus teaching remotely from there, or a combination of the two, but we have to give them that information at the end of each month for the entire month, so that the janitors know what spaces to sanitize. And this is how technical it gets. And I next month I'm going to go in, I think 2 days a week, just so that way during my prep period I can go and start cleaning out closets, because literally entire sets have been thrown into places where other people wouldn't mess with them, and I have to figure out what to do with them. But at the end of last year, my seniors, the way I had my program set up at the other school was first semester they would write a play, and second semester they would produce it, because that was kind of the culmination of their 4 years with me is learning how to do all this stuff. And so luckily we didn't have to pay rights for the play because they wrote it. So they turned it into a radio play, and they published it as a podcast. So that's how we got around that one. The freshman play, we still have the rights, and I keep deferring, and I'm going to have to at some point in the next, probably this week, go back online and defer for the other school all of their plays again, because I don't want them to just not get to do them and waste that money. But at some point, if somebody's not going to come in and do them, there's not much I can do about that. The new school, however, is really tough, because at the end of last semester, I had them do, all right, well, I didn't know I had this job yet. So I had I was under the assumption that when we came back, if we were going to be able to do a musical, they were going to have to audition for a musical. So I had them sing to their cameras and practice auditions. And that's what we did for the last 2 weeks was practice audition techniques. And it worked, because I knew those kids. I don't know these kids.
Yeah.
And I went from a school that's very high performing, like 90th percentile high performing, to kids who I think 95% of them are in free and reduced lunch which means this is the poor of the poor. And so I can't threaten them with a bad grade because they don't care. And if I'm not engaging them, all right, well then I'll turn my camera off, I'm done. So what we've been doing is we've been doing pantomime, and it's not been working well because nobody will turn on their cameras.
Makes pantomime hard.
Makes pantomime real hard. And I got some, like, I've got one class that they've kind of been won over. So this week, even though tomorrow they're supposed to be presenting their pantomimes, I'm going to say, look, I don't know that you guys are ready, just even emotionally right now, to do this. So we're going to do some team building and start trying to getting them more comfortable with each other before we try and get any performance out of them, because it's just not happening.
How many students do you have?
I have about 50 in between my two Theater 1 classes, and then Stagecraft 1 is a whole nother thing, because that's about 50 also between the two classes. And they basically told me it's like wood shop. That's how they want it to be run. And
Hands-on.
Very hands-on, because it's kids who want to do stuff and make stuff with their hands, which sounds great, but I can't exactly email them a chop saw. So,
well, why not?
and the first 2 days it was just like, well, I just want to build stuff. I just want to build stuff. And I was like, guys, I can't keep apologizing for a pandemic that I have no control over. So finally on this week, I've been giving them theory, and I've been giving design ideas and how everything has to go. And finally I said, you know what? Excuse my language, F it, but we're just building stuff. I had one class where I'd like, you've got 10 minutes, walk around your class, your house, walk outside your house, pick up anything you think you can use to build a model of a set. Like paper, plastic, cans, twigs, t-shirts you're not going to use anymore. I don't care. Anything that you think has the potential of being a supply for you, go find it. You got 10 minutes. Come back, tell me what you got. I had them pick a scene from a fairy tale, because I find fairy tales are really accessible. They've seen all the Disney stuff, so they know what they are, even if it's not the original form. I said, pick a location in your fairy tale. You're going to make that for me. And so on Friday, they couldn't leave class until they showed me a design from overhead and from front, what they were going to do. They didn't have to turn on their cameras. They could just send me the email. But and this week, I don't care what they do, but that hour that they're with me, they don't have to have their camera on. I just need to know that they're here, and that hour has been set aside to work on their design and actually building it. And I'll be there because if we were in a shop, which I have a beautiful shop now that I can't use,
Nice.
I would be out troubleshooting, and I'd be out helping them do it. And so I've had to try and find ways of recreating that in a virtual space. And it's hard because we as teachers are used to connecting with students in a certain way. And I can't do that through a computer screen when half of them don't turn their monitors on. And so it's been a real challenge. It's like, I'm not giving up yet, because it's they've got 3 beautiful performance spaces, 20 minutes from my house. I am going to do this job, but it is a matter of that doesn't work, try something else. That didn't work, try something else. And that's just kind of what we have to do right now.
I really admire the fact that you were able to figure out how to do stagecraft
Yeah,
in some way.
great idea.
Well, and
Great idea.
it's good because when I heard that it was just wood shop, I'm like, if you're gonna sell it as stagecraft, I'm teaching them more than how to cut wood and put it together. Like their first assignment used to be put together a birdhouse, and I get you're teaching them how to construct things, but have them construct boxes for the theater, or have them do something that is stage related. And so I've got a lot of work to do. The good thing is that, and we had talked about administrators that are not supportive, and I don't know that it's not that they're not supportive. They just don't know what we do.
Right.
They don't know.
They have
They
no
just don't
idea.
know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I had an administrator who let me start the program and was like, oh, you did some really cool things with this. That's awesome. Had no idea how much time went into it, but you do you. I had another one that says, you complain about it, you don't have to do it anymore. And then this last one, as much as I hated to leave her, I mean, she was fine. She was like, what do you need? I will give it to you. And I'm like, I need a full-time job. And that's the one thing she couldn't give me. And I couldn't teach full-time English and teach full-time drama unpaid. And it just was not sustainable. So the biggest problem with the administrators is they don't know what we do. And it's impossible to teach them among everything else we have to do.
And it's also impossible for them, should you need anything they can help you with, to explain why you need it and what it's for and how important it is to the students.
Mhm.
And so when you're begging them for money of any kind, for whatever reason you need it, they go, well, what do you need it for? And I said, well, and so forth. It's not, you're right. But however, over the years, I've had a couple of administrators who just didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't like drama, so they weren't going to help me. On the other hand, I have had some really, really very fine people who wanted to have a full-on drama department and do everything, because we had the facility, we had the potential to do so many great things. So you're lucky if you can find someone, but sometimes you have to educate them if they want to be educated. And the principals I had at the end were only interested in themselves and promoting themselves and making themselves look good with the district. So I didn't give up, but it was a hard hoe. But it's after 41 years. Marty, how long have you been teaching?
Well, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be a guest artist at a number of colleges, but this just kind of happened through Chuck Ketter at Fullerton College. He called me and said, "I'm going to come over here and teach something." And I said, no. And he said, come on over and choreograph something. I said, no, I'm the director too. He says, you can't be, I have to be the director. Long story short, I liked the atmosphere. It reminded me of college, my college days. And so then I started teaching, and then opportunities came to me, and I've been very fortunate. Believe me, I'm very fortunate.
Cool.
What I was going to say to you was the administrators not knowing what we do. One quick story, a vice president of instruction for our college years ago, nobody current, years ago, he came and saw a musical. It was White Christmas. He came and saw White Christmas. And at intermission, he says, Marty, how much do we pay our actors?
Ooh.
And I said, those are our students. We don't pay actors.
Yeah.
Well, how do they know what to do? I said, that's my job. He had no idea, and he was vice president of instruction for the college. What do we pay? What do you pay those actors? I said, you want to give me money? I'll be happy to pay them, but no, those are our students.
They have at least risen to their level of
I have never, I laughed so hard I couldn't take it.
So here's a question for everybody, I guess. The general lack of support, and I think there is a general lack of support for educational theater. Does it come from lack of funding, just general ignorance? I know it's not lack of interest on the part of the kids.
No.
It's
from the fact that we have created an educational system that is test-based. One of the happiest things that I'm not teaching English anymore is that I don't get tested. There is no theater test. Some people say there should be. Please no. I don't have the pressure of, I have the pressure of having to put on shows and showing that we're a viable production. And I am hopeful, because when I was in the interview for this position, I asked, what do you want from your theater program? And the principal says, these kids are constantly considered non-achievers, not low achievers, non-achievers. And the students are trying to fight against that, and we're trying to fight against that. I want this theater program to be a place where people in the Valley go to see theater. And I'm like, okay, this is somebody who has a goal for their program. It's not just it looks good on transcripts, come teach theater. So that gives me a little bit of hope. But I am always going to take back seat to whatever the English and math departments need, because they've got quotas to fill.
And they have testing scores and API scores, or whatever they're now using as their sign of achievement, or how many kids are going to college versus not. I mean, there's a lot of, we don't even enter into the equation pretty much, as far as what's important.
We're something to take away from students if they are not performing in other areas. And so they want us to be enticing for the students so that they can use us as a threat to get them to perform in other areas, which I have always been opposed to. I mean, I've had students where I'm like, look, you're not surviving in any of your other classes, or you can't be in the show, and that's my decision. But there's kids where, like, they're not gonna, this is why they come to school. So
Right.
taking this away from them is not going to result in them getting better test scores. It's going to result in them not coming to school.
And I will tell you that at the college level, certainly the STEM, English, math, it gets a little more attention because they have the numbers. They say we have 300 math majors and 250 of them got their AA degree or successfully transferring in math. Many times, I can't tell you how many times I've been in meetings where they said, well, you guys don't, a lot of your students don't finish. And I said, let me explain something to you. Our students are not stupid. They know that they don't need a degree to be an actor. They don't need a degree to transfer. They transfer by audition. They transfer by what we've taught them, but they don't need the piece of paper. Well, can't you force them? No, I can't force them to get a degree when they know full well they don't need it. They need the classes, but they can successfully transfer by talent, by audition, by skills assessment. And that's been a problem. And I was looking a second ago, I realized it's in another file. I've been the leader of the academic senate on our campus, so the leader of the faculty several times. And I always carry with me in my little black book an article that says why you need the arts in colleges. And I think it's from Harvard. And every so often in a meeting, I'd whip that thing out and I'd go, now listen, this is important for these reasons. And so because we don't have the numbers, and we never will, the numbers to say these 10 singers are successfully transferring to Cal State Fullerton in the music program that you can only get into by auditions. They're very successful. The fact that they're not closing the loop at our college doesn't mean they're not successful, but we can't show the numbers.
And artists don't really fit into a box. We don't fit into a box because it's such an individualized learning process.
It is.
And they develop at different levels. I mean, some people really take to it and just develop quickly. Other people, it takes a little bit longer. And you can't just put them in a little box. They don't fit into this numbers game that everything else fits into. So that's when I said originally, just as a general statement, that they really don't understand. I mean, I taught dance classes too. And I'm telling you, there's another situation as well where they don't, just be on the dance team. Well, they took my dance team that I had. They took my dance team, and when I said, okay, I just want to do drama now, go ahead, hire somebody else for the dance team. Well, they hired a cheer coach and just turned them into cheerleaders. And I said, that's not dancing.
Right.
Hello. And they don't understand the human element of what we teach. And what we develop in them are these human elements and these attributes that carry them not only in the theater program, but in their life and the decisions they make and the understanding about human communication and the feelings that people have and the depths of those things and what people mean when you communicate with them. That's not on a chart, and that's not on anything you can numerically decipher. It's something that they don't understand, and they never ever will in education.
One thing that I wanted to bring up, and I asked about funding before. I know perfectly well that if there's a choice between funding the arts department at a school and the athletics department at the school, we know who's going to win. Mm-hmm. And part of that, I understand, is that athletics is a big money generator. And the arts, in any level, is traditionally not a big money generator.
Well, it also doesn't it doesn't demand character development to be a football player.
Well, it kind of does.
I would disagree with that.
Yeah. But I will say that at Golden West, we work with our athletic department. So the arts and athletics tend to gang up on the same side.
Yeah.
That's nice. We approach things. It's wonderful. And I will say generally at Golden West, we get very much, we get a lot of support. Mm-hmm. A lot of attaboys, and we do get some funding, not much. And like I said, we have to generate our own revenue to keep things going. But I would say generally they work with us really, really well, partially because I'm a pain in the neck and I am in people's faces. And I go, what do you mean? When's the last time you paid money to watch a mathematician? And so I keep fighting for the department, and we've gotten renovations in the department. Right now, I have $100,000 worth of movable lights sitting on the floor of our stage scene shop, because they let people go. So I have no technical theater people to put them up until January. And then I said, you guys, there's $100,000 worth of lights sitting on the floor. Let me hire somebody to put them up. Can't do it till January. It's stuff like that. But
and you can't just hire anybody either.
No,
you can't hire anybody.
And so we do get a lot of support, and we work with our athletics department. So we're able to work with them because we are all selling a product. And athletics, actually performing arts makes more money than athletics does, but we don't get the same funding that athletics does. But we work with them. And I would say generally our administration is very supportive of the performing arts. They don't get it, they don't understand it, but they are supportive of it. And I'm able to go and fight, but I'm able to go and fight. It's because I'm fighting, and the head of art comes with me, and the two of us march in and go, no, we got it. We try and get in their faces as much as possible. They do what they can, but again, because we do work with athletics, they are not our adversaries at all. We actually can do a lot of things together because we are similar programs.
That's great.
We have half of our job. You have the teaching part of the job, and then you have the fundraising part of the job, and then you have the networking part of the job, which is how do I connect all of these teachers who have never worked together before? Hi, person who's in charge of art. I need your kids to paint my set, and it's going to be amazing, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And hey, photography teacher, you're going to come and take the headshots for my kids, and it's going to be amazing, and your kids are going to learn so much about portraiture, and it's going to be wonderful. And it's constantly, and then you've got the whole, I also have an article that anytime our history teacher would talk about, well, why do you need this? I mean, my subject is way more important than that. Here's something that says you're wrong.
Yeah.
So it's,
I just think it's interesting that it's go ahead. Honey.
Yeah, Steve Shane just mentioned that, there's plenty of evidence that arts programs improve student achievement in academics.
Oh, yeah.
But you're talking to the believers.
No, I know that. I mean, we all know that. I worked with plenty of kids that couldn't read until they picked up a script, or had to learn math a little better to design a set. So, yeah, it's obvious. I'm just kind of curious. One of our guests here, and I lost it because I cannot tell you how many questions there are here, was asking if you have any stories about particular success stories with any of your students who, and we've been talking about a lot of recent stuff now, so I'm going to go to Kaisa first, since she's got the history behind
go ahead.
it.
No, that's
No,
all right.
no, it's okay.
You know what?
Do you have?
I have to say that now that I've been away from teaching for a while, I kind of feel like I have a chance to look back at all those years and look at what happened and remember and think about certain students. But I generally, my one student comes to mind, and I think that for so many of the students, even if they didn't have major roles or they didn't have a major part in the situation, even the person that just had the smallest job or the smallest participation and they were just included in a situation just grew so much in and of themselves. I had this one girl in my acting class, and she just simply wouldn't get on the stage, and she wanted to leave the class. She wanted to drop out. And I said, you know what, just give it another week. Just give it another week. We'll just see how things pan out. Just give it another week. And sure enough, I'll skip to the end. She got up there and she did this lovely little piece about herself. It was a self-description of her life and something that she thought was very important to her. And it was lovely, and she just didn't even think she could do it. And I thought to myself, if I get all those kids who are able to just take that big leap of faith about themselves and their ability to do whatever they want to do and whatever they need to do, because in theater, when you're on the stage, although you have others to help you, sometimes you're on there and you have to rely upon yourself and your abilities and your faith that you can do whatever you have to do, whether it's in front of an audience or not. And with that confidence, you move on to the next step in your life. And I just felt like a lot of kids came through my doors, and I really enjoyed them, and I enjoyed doing things with them. And I was just grateful to have that opportunity because I learned a lot too. And so my success story would just be that I'm hoping that many of those kids who went out of there, and some of them left on good terms, some of them didn't leave on good terms, they dropped out or they didn't feel, all those stories. But I feel like when they first started, they came in really scared. One of my, I just one, I'm sorry, I'll go faster. One story that was, there was this young kid had to get up and do that same thing, which is just initially get up and introduce himself on the stage, and he would not get up. Would not. He was crying and he was sitting in the audience and he was just sitting there, and everybody said, oh, come on. And he wouldn't. So I just let it go that first day. And then a couple days later, we said again, anyone else who didn't get a chance, come on up, let's share. So he finally went up and he did some sharing. He ended up being one of the, now he is teaching, Tim, honey, help me. What is Tim doing now? He went to Cal State Fullerton. And here's a little story. His father was in jail. He didn't have a mother, so he had no place to live. So he stayed in my drama room and slept on my couch, or he went to a friend's house for the 4 years he was in high school. But he was in drama for 4 years, and he had this lovely voice. And by the time he got started, he was just spectacular and was starring in all the shows. And he left and he went to Cal State Fullerton, continued on. And he's now working at Cal State Fullerton, or Chapman University, actually, in university communications, one way or the other. And a tremendous young man. And he just started out with the fear of God, just was so afraid of everything in himself. And if I can just help any one kid who comes to that class who just needs someone to see them and appreciate just for who they are, and they can get out there and just rely upon themselves and know they have everything they need, whether it's theater or anything, theater brings it out of a lot of kids because they're able to express themselves and be other people. So that's just mine. Go ahead. Thank you.
Joe, did
Go,
you
Joe.
have something to add?
I did. I mean, there's too many to pick one, but I think it says something about what we do. My kids found out on the 27th of July that they weren't coming back to a theater program, which is just the guilt I carry with me. You know, I know it is a move that I had to do, but it hurts. And I know that my high school drama teacher left halfway through my high school career, so I know what it feels like to lose that. And so I felt very guilty. But on my first day of school, I'm gonna choke up. On my first day of school, I woke up to an email in my mailbox, in my inbox, that was a 20-minute video of kids through my entire career, including current ones, thanking me for everything that we'd gone through.
Very cool.
And that's why we do it, right? We do it because we need that as much as they need what we're giving them. And I've had kids tell me that I'm the first person who's told them they can do something. We don't realize how hard it is for these kids to survive high school. I mean, we had it tough. We all had it tough. We were theater geeks. But I honestly think it's gotten harder. I think it's, technology has made it harder. And I'm constantly hearing over and over again, this is why I come to school. This is why I come to school. And that in and of itself is why it's important to have theater in schools, because these kids need something to get them out of bed in the morning. And our Friday afternoons was improv, and the number of kids that would say, this is why I make it through my week, because I know I've got to get to that rehearsal on Friday. It's just theater arts it's such a rewarding field. It's frustrating and it's exhausting, and we've moped and complained about it on this call, but I don't want to do anything else, and I'm excited that now I finally got a job that this is all I can focus on, because it really does result in some amazing connections that you will remember forever.
Marty?
We have some success stories, but they're no names you're going to know, but they're people I'm seeing on screen or in a commercial. or, so I'll go, oh, there's so-and-so. One of them was on the Academy Awards, had a great big commercial from, I think it was Coca-Cola or something. Anyway, I see them all over. And that's very rewarding. What's really rewarding for us is when they successfully transfer. Like they have auditions and they get accepted. And I always say, well, I'm not surprised. I knew you were going to do that. It's like they're so surprised. I said, but that's what we've been teaching you for the last couple of years, how to do this. And so we're very pleased when we get them to that next step. And they, I wanted to go here and I got accepted. I have one student who already had a degree in biology from UCI, came to audition for me at Golden West. And I put her in Boeing. She was fantastic. One of the 3 girls, fantastic. And so she started taking classes. Well, she already has a degree in biology, but she did not want to be a biologist. So she started taking.
They never do.
They never do. So she comes in and does 2 years with me, all the acting classes, all the stage movement. She was right for many shows, so she was in many shows. So she was able to audition for grad school because she already had a degree. She was accepted in 2 places, Boston Conservatory and the Actors Studio.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
She went to audition and everything she learned was in those 2 years. She'd done a little bit as a kid, but that was it. And so she turned down the Actors Studio. I said, hey, Nikki, that's great. Put that on your resume. I turned down the Actors Studio because she didn't want to spend 4 years. She wanted, so she's already graduated from Boston Conservatory with her degree. But even though she'd already had an advanced degree, we trained her. So she was able to go to the auditions. We coached her, both myself and Tom Amon coached her on her monologues and said, you can do this. She had a beautiful singing voice. She could dance well enough, not a problem. But so those success stories mean a lot to us in that we see them that successfully transfer. And I always tell them, why didn't you think you were going to? I knew you were going to. And the other challenge we have is some students who think they are here and they're really not.
Yeah.
Reality, we try to get them to be real as well. Okay. Do you think you are the only blonde in Southern California? Seriously. Okay. What do you have? We try to let them understand that it's not easy. It's not easy, but these are the steps you should try to take to get to,
And I have to say that theater is the most truthful business you can get involved with. If you're not truthful with yourself and say, yes, I made a mistake, or yes, that wasn't very good, or I'm just humble about yourself. I find that most of the professional actors that I've known and encountered are the most humble people you'll ever meet, because they think, oh, I can always improve and I can always do better. I know I'm good, but I can do better, and not be full of themselves. And so congratulations, you guys, on your successes. I think that's just wonderful for you guys to have all those things. It's good to know somebody actually went somewhere with all those things, and that's good.
Well, and they tend to come back.
Yeah, they do.
They drop in because they know when I'm teaching acting class. So people will come in. I'll go, hi, what you doing? Oh, I'm back from New York, or I'm doing whatever. Can I watch class? Sure, you can watch class. Sit down. And so
that's a reward.
That family.
And to be able to say, golly, I just had some part in their life to help them with that. Because they needed it so badly, and you don't always need math and you don't always need science, but you do need the human element of learning and knowing yourself well. Because I'll tell you, through drama too, you learn about yourself really quickly.
But Kaisa, I will tell you that I tell them all, every one of you needs to be able to read your contracts. So you go and take your math class, and do well in your math class, because you need to be able to direct the people who are going to handle your money. And if you're stupid, you can't do that.
Well, and one of the first things I did with this new position, and when I knew I was losing my my stagecraft kids, was I was like, all right, I'm giving you each, I sent them a list. I'm like, you're numbered. Look up the pay scale for theater professionals in technical fields.
Mm-hmm.
And that caught their attention. That's a little bit more that I'm teaching you design, and the design is a little bit more, quite a bit more of a pay scale than the people who are just building. And we need all of that, but you could be making this. You just need to start thinking about it.
I always tell them to be the one who can design, who can program the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Just be the one who can
Absolutely.
I have a student who is getting her master's at, I want to say Harvard, but it may be Yale. I know it's one of the two, in theater projection, because that's this new technology that is such a, and she was my lighting person for 4 years.
Yep.
Well, I do have to say, I would love to have been able to have more advanced students, but where I worked, you weren't allowed to audition anyone. So anybody who wanted in your class just got in your class, and that's that. And so I never had a chance to talk to somebody about the extemporaneous things around theater. I was just trying to get them to just do that little bit and succeed within those little moments. And then we send them off to Marty and say, you guys can teach them the once they get used to themselves and what needs to happen. It's a good collaboration. Once you send them off to them, and off you guys go. So thank you for working so well with them too. And congratulations, you guys. It's really hard to be a theater person.
So
a theater teacher.
We've actually, we've gone late. And so I do want to wrap this up. I know a couple things. Number one, Michael had to leave early, but he wanted everyone to know that he thought you were all awesome. And in an earlier chat message, I believe he wants to enroll in Joe's class.
Yes, I'll take him. I'll take him.
And just on a side note, as somebody, as Joe said, a self-professed theater geek from very early on, who can honestly say that my theater classes saved me, and the teachers are the ones that I can easily rattle off their names. Even now in my advanced years, and I can't really do that for any of my other teachers. Personally, speaking to you as representatives of the profession, thank you for what you're doing. I think you are saving the world. And especially now, with the divisions in the world, it's nice to know that there are theater people out there who are creating families. And the families don't look like each other, right. And they are accepting of each other, and they don't love the same people, So thank you all for doing your job and for sharing it with us tonight, because you've been great. And I didn't get to half the questions, so I'm sorry for those people who were asking things that I didn't get to, but they were on a roll, and I didn't want to interrupt.
Is there part two?
There will be a part 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm sure.
So keep the questions.
I can't, because if you noticed, I disappeared for a while. My internet kicked me off of this thing, and all those questions went away. But we touched on them. You guys touched on them. They were all kind of the same kind of thing, and it's mostly about rebuilding afterward. And so I think part 2 of educational theater will be, post-COVID talk and how we rebuild these programs.
Thank you again. I am so glad I got out when I did, but you guys are the saviors of theater. You guys, if you could just continue and not be discouraged, and what you're doing is going to save so many kids, even in this bad time. We really appreciate what you're continuing to do. You're the bridge to the next event. So I thank you personally as someone who's been there, and so grateful that I'm not with you now. So please.
And with that positive note,
stay strong.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks, Marty, for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Marty.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you too.